Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a post-fight show for UFC 201, Lawler versus Woodley for the UFC Welterweight Championship of the World. This was an explosive main event, and yeah, this is a post-fight show, the main card, so let's get started. So, in the main event, we had Tyrone Woodley coming off a long layoff due to injuries, going up against the welterweight champ in the UFC, ruthless Robbie Lawler, who was a dominant champion, having a couple title defenses against the likes of Rory McDonald and Carlos Condit. Carlos one did end in controversy, I may add, with the decision and everything, but nonetheless, Robbie Lawler walked out with the win. And yeah, this fight was pretty much how I called it in my pre-fight show. In my pre-fight, though, I said third round knockout for Woodley. It turned out to be a first round knockout. Tyrone Woodley, I knew his jiu-jitsu would be on par, his wrestling would be on par, and it would create issues with the stand-up in this fight, and I knew that it would just set up for some good strikes for Woodley, as Lawler may be concerned with the takedowns of Woodley. Who knows how much Lawler was concerned with the takedowns of Woodley, but Woodley did set up some good strikes, and he landed first round KO. Yeah, it was KO, punches, kick, and then followed by some punches on the ground, and he finished Robbie Lawler. And it was only 2 minutes and 12 seconds. So it was an impressive win for the dominant champ, the new champ, Tyrone Woodley. And I hope he has a big matchup in his first title defense. I think the possibilities endless with Tyrone Woodley. I think he could be a dominant champ if he gets by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and if the George St. Pierre fight happens, then if he gets by that too, which, I mean, it's George St. Pierre, it's hard to get tough by him. I don't care who you are. Then, anyhow, that's the main event. The co-main event was a women's strawweight bout with Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Did I say that right? Kowalkiewicz, yeah. And Rose Namajunas. Yeah, I picked Rose on my pre-fight show. I thought her striking would be good enough to keep her at bay and set up for some good takedowns and then maybe a submission. I thought easily the second, third rounds would be Rose taking the back of Karolina. That did not happen. It pretty much stayed standing, and had it stayed standing, yeah, I would have said on my pre-fight show that Karolina may win, and she did win. But yeah, I was shocked. I thought Rose would, get it on the ground the second, third round and squeak out a decision victory. This was decision split, 29-28. So it was a pretty close fight. I think Rose will look at this fight, bounce back from this loss, and I think she could beat the majority of the strawweights right now. So keep your head up, Rose. I think the sky's the limit still for Rose. She's still a young fighter, so has a lot of good fights. Karolina, yeah, I think title shot makes sense. Poland versus Poland. Karolina now may possibly get a title shot against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And this is a good fight. It's going to be a good technical striking fight. So can't wait. And then we go back to the welterweight division on the main card. Jake Ellenberger versus Matt Brown. I picked Matt Brown to win on my pre-fight show. I thought that he would stuff a wrestling takedown or two, but while Jake Ellenberger came out swinging, he was desperate for the win, and he got it. I think Jake Ellenberger, what really set him up to win is the sense of urgency. I think if he does that more in his fights, then he could win at least 50 to 60% of his matches if he puts pressure on all his opponents. And that's exactly what he did. This was TKO, kick to the body and punches. And yeah, it was a first rounder. It was 1 minute and 46 seconds into the first round. It was a great, great fight. Very impressed by Jake Ellenberger. Yeah, had he lost this fight, he would have got cut. He was practically begging Dana White not to cut him, and he pulled out a big win against respectable opponent Matt Brown. And I'll be interested to see what Matt Brown has next in store. Yeah, so Jake Ellenberger lives to see another day. Then in the bantamweight division, we had Eric Perez versus Francisco Rivera, and yeah, this is kind of, I guess you could say, old school versus new school. Francisco Rivera kind of the older school, and Eric Perez sort of the newer school. Eric Perez being the younger guy. Yeah, this was a pretty dominant win for Eric Perez. He kept him at bay, worked his boxing real well, and outpointed him pretty much every round. I do not see where the judge got a 29-28. I would have scored this pretty much 30 across the board for Eric Perez. It was pretty dominant. Not like 10-8 round, but like 10-9 for Eric Perez on every round, I would say. So Eric Perez gets it done, unanimous decision. Then to kick off the main card in the flyweight division, we had Ryan Benoit versus Freddie Serrano. And yeah, Freddie Serrano, I believe he's Colombian, and he was a prospect out of there. And he has good wrestling. Ryan Benoit has good All-American wrestling, I guess you could say. And this was a battle. This could have gone either way. This was split decision. I could see how some people had it for Freddie Serrano. At the end of the fight, I felt like Freddie Serrano did enough to win. However, Ryan Benoit, he did have some good strikes in the match. Did get some good positions. So I could see either way. But nonetheless, Ryan Benoit got the decision split. It was, yeah, 29-28 in favor, by Ryan Benoit. And that wraps up the post-fight of UFC 201. Stay tuned for my next episode, which will be a pre-fight for Rodriguez versus Casares. And yeah, until then, see ya.